So this is where we left the first video. We entered all the data and done a few formulas. What is next on the worksheet? Changes to the spreadsheet. So the thing is, the spreadsheet has no title because we started right on the top row, but we really should have a title. Every piece of work should have a title or a name of some sort. So how do we do this? How do we make this go down? Well, this is where insert rows comes in. So we're going to insert 2 blank rows at the top of the spreadsheet. 2 because we're going to put 1 for the title and just have a blank one to space things out. It's always good if you can to space things out that are a little bit separate because it's easier to read. If everything is jammed together and bunched up, it can make things difficult to see at a glance and to pull information out without really concentrating. The point of spreadsheets is partly to present data, present information to people like managers particularly, who want to see overviews of what's going on within a department or within a project or things like that. So inserting blank rows is easy. So all we have to do is think, well, where do we want to put the blank row? Well, we want to put it above row 1. So that's what you have to remember. When you put blank rows in, it always goes above the row that you select. So if I selected here and inserted a blank row here, it will put the blank row above row 9, so it will push everything down from row 9 onwards. So at the moment you can see my name is on row 14, this is on row 9. Row 9 is going to be pushed down to row 10, row 14 is going to be pushed down to row 15. Let's just prove it. Insert. There we go. Row 9 is now row 10, row 14 is now row 15. Sometimes though you don't put a row in the right place because sometimes you could make a mistake and not sure what, or you can't remember that rule that I just said. So undo is your best friend again. If you make a mistake, just try the row above, try the row below. You're going to get it right eventually. So it can be a bit confusing though when you haven't got any rows above already. When we haven't got a row 0, unless you count that, I suppose, the column headings as row 0. So anyway, so all we do, right click here. So you right click, make sure you're in the row identifier and you go insert. And we want 2, so we just do it again. There we go, we've inserted rows. There are more advanced ways of inserting rows, and there are other ways of doing it. You can use insert over here as well, but it's not worth learning about at the moment. If you want to have a play with it, I suggest that's the best way to learn it. You only need to know the fundamentals at the moment. Number 10, in the top new row, in the first column, enter the title sales figures. Emphasize the heading with bold and use font size larger than the remainder of the spreadsheet. I just remembered we forgot to do something earlier on because we got carried away. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Here, in instruction 2, it said, on the first row, starting in the second column, enter the headings right aligned. We didn't do that. So we'll do it now. So right aligned for the headings first, before we do that next step. So here, to do right aligned for all the headings, all you do, highlight them all. So you hold down the mouse button, drag it across, and we've got bold, italic, underline, all the font stuff. But here's the alignment. So we've got left alignment and right alignment. And we just done that because numbers generally get aligned to the right. It just looks neater because then units and the tens and the hundreds and the thousands line up together. So we're doing the headings in the same way just to keep it consistent. It's not that important, but it can make things look a little bit neater. Next, what we're going to do is in the title is going to be sales figures. And we need to emphasize it with bold and a larger font. So sales figures in capitals and highlight it. So we click back in the box, click on bold, and I'm just going to make it size 18. Now with headings, doesn't matter too much about if it goes into the next cell. That doesn't matter. Oops. New sales data is available for April. So we've done January, February and March, but now we have April. So where can we put that? If we look at our spreadsheet, there's no space for April. So in the same way as we put in a new row, we can put in new columns as well. So what does it tell us to do exactly? It says insert a new column between March and total number and enter the heading APR right aligned and enter the following data. So we've got some new data here. Now we don't need to put the names in, of course, because they're already there on the left hand side. These are just to tell you which numbers go with which person. Now, sometimes be careful to check that these names are the same order. Don't assume anything. So Kent, Woods, Piper, Strange, Andrews. Kent, Woods, Piper, Strange, Andrews. Ah, look at that. Roberts doesn't have a number. Why is that? Ah, but the salesperson named Roberts left in March. That's why. He quit or he was fired in March. Was he not doing very well? Roberts, no, doing okay, middle. Must have found a different job. So anyway, we need to insert a new column between March and total number. So do we do it here or do we do it here? Well, let's try doing it here first. So right click, insert, oops, that isn't the right place. April can't go there. We can't have January, February, April, March. That doesn't make sense. So undo. So it wasn't D. We must put it here, E. No problem. We made a mistake, but it doesn't matter. You can undo things. That's the benefit of using computers. So we put in APR. And we need to quickly look at these numbers. Remember, we can't copy them. But we can. I'm going to copy them anyway. Watch this. Because I don't like having to flick back and forth all the time. So I'm going to copy them. I'm just going to put them at the side here. See what happens. Right. Now, it's not great. But I can still use those numbers. Here, here, here. Because I can see who they go with. I can see Kent is 5,000, Woods is 6,200. So it's not great, but at least I don't have to keep going back and forth and hoping I'm remembering things. But one other thing you can do is you could copy them, paste them from here. Now I can copy, or I could cut them actually, would be better. Cut, so this is Kent. Kent, I'm going to paste. I'm going to cut Woods. Woods. But the other thing you can do, if you've got the mouse control, is you can move them. So when I put my pointer around the edge of the cell, you see these 4 arrows that we saw earlier, though I didn't tell you what they did. But the point of that is you can actually drag the cell to a new location. So I want to put Piper into the E column, the April column. So I just put my pointer here, hold down the button, and just when I get to the right place, I let go. Same with Strange. Okay, now I'm going to accidentally put Strange in the wrong place. I'm going to put him in Roberts. Oops. Now I can either undo that, or I could just grab it again, just move it to where it goes. Same here. And there we go. What are we going to do with these? Don't need them, so I can highlight them all and then go to clear. And then you can go to clear all. Just disappear. Obviously you could have manually deleted them one by one. You might have noticed that there's a green thing here that's appeared. These little green flags. What that is telling you is the computer has spotted something that might be a problem. Can you guess what it is? Can you figure out what the problem might be that we have now, or what might not be quite right? If we look at what figures we've got January to April now, and we've got these formulas here. What is it that maybe isn't quite right? Well, let's see if the worksheet tells us. Well, it says add a formula for the monthly total of this column. So if we go back, we need a column, we need a total here. So if you remember, we can replicate from these, or we can type it in ourselves. I'll do it both ways. So we can do equals sum and highlight and add up all those. That gives us a lower figure because we've got less salespeople this time. Okay. But the other way to do it is, delete that, I could just go, well, that one's right. If I just copy that across or replicate it across, there we go, same figure, 28,250. So number 13 says, ensure that the April sales are included in the total number column and that the figures in the amount column are updated to include the April sales as well. Okay, what does that mean? Ensure that the April sales are included in the total number column. Right, so if we look at total number, that's what these green things are about. Total number is only adding up B4 to D4. It's not including April, which in this case we probably should do. So we need to change the formula. It shouldn't be B4 to D4, it should be B4 to E4. And when we press enter, and you can see the green little thing has gone and the amount has gone up. But it hasn't changed it for these ones. These ones have still got the green flag. So we know this one is correct. So just like before, we can replicate. Now what we're doing here is we're replicating over, but it doesn't matter. There is no difference. Even if they had nothing in them, if these cells had nothing in them, or they have something in them, you can just replicate over the top of them. The other thing is, as you saw in the other video, you can copy and paste. If you can't replicate or you have trouble getting the mouse to do that, you can copy and then you can just highlight and paste and it does the same thing. The same thing as replicating. It's a special type of copy and paste for spreadsheets. Okay, so now this tells us to do two things. It says ensure that the APR sales are included in the total number column, and also that the figures in the amount column are updated. So the amount column is here. Now, amount seems to have got bigger. To me, it seems to have got bigger. So we can test it though. It should be this by this multiplied by this. So we can use our calculator. Where's it gone? So if we just go 22800 times 3.5, 79,800, which is exactly what we have here. So that means that these numbers have already been updated, because this number changed. So this number changed because this here is calculated from this and this. So when this changed, and we changed the formula here, this changed automatically. Good, isn't it? So ensure that the April sales are included. We've done all that. The column heading amount is not a very good heading. Change it to sales. Okay, so sometimes when we name things, we might want to change the name because we think it's not explanatory. It doesn't tell us properly what the column is or the row is. So amount is going to be changed to sales, because sales is probably the amount in money, sales figure. Whereas amount could be confused with how many we've sold, how many units of an item, or how many boxes or packages or whatever it is we're selling. So usually you'll see the word sales. And the column heading unit cost is also not very good, because it's actually talking about the price. It's the cost to the person buying it, but it's actually the price that we're selling it for. So again, think about when you come to name things, what should you call them? Call this price. So it's a bit clearer now. We're selling things for £3.50 each, or £3 each, or £4 each. So we're going to save this again with the name Sales January to April. We can save it in the same place we saved the other one. So File, Save As, Sales Jan to April. Don't worry about the capital letters, it doesn't matter. Okay. And it also says to print one copy. Did we have to print on the last one? I don't think we had to, no. So we're printing on this one. So remember, what you do is you go to File and Print, and it just about fits onto the page here, doesn't it? So we're going to change the printer to be Qt PDF, and then we print, and then we have to choose where the print's going to go to, because it's going to create a file. So we choose the our folder. Nope, not that one. This one. And we go to, we can just leave the file name as it is. We'll put it in Excel practice though, because we can keep this file name the same, because Excel files have XLS on the end, whereas PDF files have PDF on the end. So they're actually treated as separate files. So click Save. If we have a look in that folder now, and you can see there's two files that seem to have the same name, but they're actually different. One is a printout only. Yep, it's just a piece of paper. And the other one is the Excel file. So last page now. Number 17. Yep, number 17. Errors have been found in the data. Make the following amendments. So as we said earlier, if we make changes to these, that means that these numbers should automatically update now. So errors have been found. Kent figures for January should be 625. So I'm going to change those to 625. And Wood's figures for April should be 615. So their figures have gone right down there. And Strange, that was Kent, that was Woods, but Strange is unit cost should be 4.5. So Strange is on this row, 4.5. Just click on it, change it. Number formats next. So what we're going to do is tidy up these numbers, probably these numbers and these numbers, because these are all to do, well, these aren't, but these are all to do with money. So I think they're going to involve some pound signs and things like that. So display the figures in the amount column with a pound sign and in integer format. If you remember, integer means whole numbers, so we don't care about the pennies, really. Now, the thing that you need to understand is, even though they won't be shown on the screen, Excel doesn't forget the pennies. They would be used in any calculation that you use those cells in. So if you had £95.50 and it was rounded up to £96, and then you multiplied that number by 2, it would still be £95.50 multiplied by 2. It wouldn't be £96 multiplied by 2. So, what was the instruction again? Change the figures in the amount column. Now, which one's the amount column? There is no amount column. So, what was the amount column before? The amount column is now the sales column. So this is the column it's talking about. So the amount column is going to be formatted to pounds or currency and no decimal places. So that's using integer. So what we do, we highlight all the numbers that need to be formatted, and then here at the top here you have the numbers section. Now we do have some icons here, but it's best to leave them alone at the moment and use this little thing here. This gives you better control over what you're doing. It gives you a dialog box, so I've just clicked on it, I hope. Sometimes it takes a while for this to come up. I'm not sure why. Okay, but you can see at the moment it's set to general. So that means they have no specific number format. But we don't want number, we want currency, because we want the pound sign, but we don't want any decimal places, we want integer, so we just change that to 0, and you can see the difference here. We put it onto 2, it shows the 50 pence, but now it doesn't show the 50 pence, and it rounds it up, rounds the number up by 50 pence to the nearest pound. Sometimes it will round down. If it's less than 50 pence, or less than half, it will round it down. Okay, so we click OK, and look at that, much neater, don't you think? And let's go back to the instructions. The monthly total, display the figures in the monthly total row in currency integer format. So it's the same. That means the same thing. So the figures in the monthly total row. So this is the monthly totals row. These are already integers, but we're just going to make sure that they're always integers. So currency, 0 decimal places. There we go. Currency, 0 decimal places. And then it says, number 20, display the data in the unit cost column with 2 decimal places. No currency format this time though. So the unit cost was here. It's now called price, but we changed it. So we highlight this. What did it say? 2 decimal places, because at the moment it's rather untidy looking and it's not clear that it's a price. So because it's got 3.5 and then it's got 3 and then it's got 4, and it doesn't look like a value, a money value. So if we click on that, we don't want the pound signs though, because they're not necessary for this. So we're not going to go to currency, we're just going to go to number. And you'll see it's already on 2 decimal places, so you won't need to change that. Just click OK. That looks a bit neater now, don't you think? I'm just going to make this column a bit narrower as well, just to tidy things up. And that's all. Save your work with the file name sales January to April corrected. And then we're also going to print again. Oh, we've got a couple more. So we're going to go to there and we're going to save. I'm just going to change the name slightly. We're just going to put corrected and save it. And then we're going to print it again. Let me just check what it says about printing. Print in landscape view. Aha, so landscape view. What does that mean? Well, we file and print, same as before, but this is portrait view. You probably know that. Sometimes though, or quite often, you'll find that landscape works better. So we're just going to click here, landscape. It looks a bit neater, I think. We could space things out a bit more if we really needed to. So we've still got cute PDF, so we print, and we'll keep the same file name, save. And then we look in our folder, and you can see we have a PDF version and an Excel version. So the PDF versions are the ones you should send to me, so I can check them and mark them and give you some feedback. Okay, so let's go back to our PDF activity sheet. And now we're going to do something called showing formula. So at the moment we have data visible, numbers. But underneath this, or underneath some of these, like here, well, these ones, and these ones, and these ones, we didn't type the numbers in here. Excel has calculated them using the formula. Now we typed formula in, but it's not visible. But sometimes it's useful to check the formula without having to click on it. And also it's useful to print them out sometimes so other people can check them or mark them. So you need to know how to present the formula as well. It's not difficult to do. Now there's 2 ways you can do it, and all they're asking us to do, display your formula used in your spreadsheet, ensure that they're all displayed in full. That's crucial though, in full. So all we're going to do is turn the formula on, make sure they can be read clearly, and then print them out. So to turn formula on, you go to, I think it's view, and then no, it's not view, sorry, it's formulas, and it's here. It could have been view. I always get them mixed up actually. And then you can just click show formulas. But if you see, if you look at the little tooltip that's coming up here, it says you can turn on formulas with the keys as well. But it's a little bit difficult to do if you haven't got a proper keyboard. So it's best to use this. Click on show formulas. Now look what happened. All the columns became much wider. They seem to double in width. Not sure exactly how much bigger they get, but they get bigger. Now you see this dotted line here, that's the edge of the page. If we went to file and print right now, what would happen is we'd end up with 2 pages. On the second page we would have this kind of odd looking orphan here, and we couldn't tell what this is for. It doesn't really fit with anything. So what we need to do is get everything onto one page. There's a couple of ways we can do that. We can either manually change the widths of everything, which is not too much of a hardship, but what we have to be careful is we don't go too narrow with any of the widths, because you need to make sure that all the formulas are complete, that you aren't cutting things off. So if you did this, can you see that this formula here, we can't see the whole of it, we can only see E4, and then it looks like an E, we can't tell what the rest of it is, so it's not possible to check it properly if it's printed out. We need to be sure that all of these things are visible. So in this case, we can do this manually. We can just narrow everything a little bit, tidy it up, and it's okay. The problem is when you turn the formulas back off, in formulas again, everything gets really narrow. It's really annoying, and you have to undo everything basically. So what's the other way? Oh, can you notice that when you get these hash symbol things here, sometimes that will happen. All that means is your column isn't wide enough to display the numbers. Sometimes that will happen unexpectedly. You'll have something like that, where you'll have one that seems to be having a little fence there, but you can't see the numbers. So all you have to do is make the column wider. So the other way to do this, to show the formulas without problems, is to use the print preview options, or the page setup options. So if you go to print and then go to page setup here, what you can do is you can change this thing here. So instead of it being just set at normal size or 100% size, you click here and Excel will automatically shrink the columns so that they fit. If we just click OK, you'll see what I mean. And you can see everything's got a little bit smaller. The other thing that you can use in here, though, if you go into the sheet here, put the grid lines on, and also the row and column headings. When you're printing out formulas, it's a very good idea to put these two options on. So let's just go over that again. Go to page setup. I'm going to put fit to 1 page by 1 page, 1 page tall by 1 page wide. But on the sheet, turn the grid lines on and turn the row and column headings on. Why? Because watch what happens when we click OK. It creates this grid that looks a lot like what you have on the screen, but when you're checking formulas, it's much easier to follow because you can see where the numbers line up better. So one more time, page setup, and you can see it's at 80%. Grid lines, row and column headings, OK. Then we're going to print it. What name did it say to give it? It didn't say. So we're going to put our own name on it. We'll just call it corrected formula sheet. Long file name. Now we're not saving it this time though. We're just going to close it. So that is your introduction to Excel. See you in the next video.